What's up? We're back. We missed you guys last Sunday because we had company, but we're back for another episode of the John and Chas Show.
Or
And
whatever
this
it's
one,
called.
or whatever we're going to call it, it's going to be the
Whatever.
John and Chas Show until we change its name. So for
Right.
now, it's the John and Chas Show. But I'm going to talk about, as the title suggests, I said a bad word.
I said a bad word.
It's been on my mind a bit lately because last time, which was 2 weeks ago, we talked about, what did we talk about?
I don't know.
2 weeks have happened. I don't
Anyway.
even remember.
But you dropped the.
Oh, we
you
talked about not using soap. How's it been going? Give us an
It's
update.
been pretty good. Sometimes I'm still using soap in certain areas,
Rebel.
but not like on my hair. Most areas. You know what I'm talking about. We're not going to go into it.
The areas.
Areas. It's been going fine. I've got no serious complaints. I mean, I said I had some scaly scalp issues. It's still there. It's no better. It's no worse.
It is better. You
I
were telling
don't-
me the other day it wasn't shedding off your head. It's bad.
And then it does.
And then
I
it
don't know.
does. Okay.
I don't know.
We
It's
haven't figured that one out.
cyclical.
I guess it's
But-
probiotics.
Yeah, I don't smell bad at all.
I smell great, by the way.
Yeah. So that's
So,
that.
okay.
So the nose, like, definitely using way less soap and no shampoo or conditioner.
And
been okay.
I'll have to go get it out of my shower, but I mentioned to you guys that we were going to start using prebiotic body wash, and I got that in the mail. It's amazing. I've only used it twice. So since that time frame, so it's 2 weeks as of 2 weeks ago, so it's been a month now. I've been soap free. Oh my gosh. But that's not the point of this episode. What happened in the last episode was I chatted with you guys when we did the live on Facebook about the no soap, and I was telling you about this rash I had on my arm. I said a bad word.
You dropped the R bomb.
I dropped a bomb, and the R bomb,
Which is retard. if you were wondering.
I said the rash was retarded, and it caused a friggin' explosion of comments from people I don't know. So it kind of like took off. We were busy doing something, and I looked back at the post, had several comments about people making comments about that particular word. So we were going to chat about that.
Yeah.
We've been thinking about it, and we're going to have a convo about who dictates what a bad word is.
Right? Yeah.
I just literally okay, let me just preface this by saying, I know that the word retarded or retard is taboo right now.
Yeah.
I'm fully aware of that. I'm very aware that people with disabled children do not like that word. And were I to be in your presence and you said, hey, Chas, I really don't like you using that word, I would definitely, out of much respect for you and what offends you and what you don't like, not say that word. But I just want to pose some questions here. And this is what's really got me spinning these last couple of weeks. Like, who decided that we needed to be offended by that word? That's what I'm saying.
Or any number of words.
Or any word. Like, John and I did a little research. I don't know, it's been months ago now. Like, who decided the F word was a bad word? Who decided damn was a bad word? You know, who said ass was a bad word when it's in the Bible? Like, who decided that these words... Now, don't misunderstand me. If you don't like those words, you don't have to use those words. More power to you.
And if we say them, you don't have to watch this anymore.
Well, okay, this is my point, though. If we say a word that you don't like, why? This is the question I have for you, and maybe someone can tell me in the comments of this. Why do we give those things our power and let it offend us? That's what I want to know.
So Chas was talking about her poison ivy rash or whatever.
Who the heck knows what even
this
it was?
retarded rash, right?
Because it sucked and I hated it, but it's gone. Thank you so much.
Now, like somehow you convey that to your intellectually disabled child. We're not talking about your child, okay?
Never would I ever look at a child and say, you've got problems.
Yeah.
I wouldn't look at a disabled child,
Man, it must be tough with that retard kid.
Right, or
no. Who does that?
Right. I would just never do that.
If somebody actually did that, then you know, okay, I don't need to associate or listen to that person.
Well, that's just a crap person who's going to do hurtful things to a child. Like, yuck, no please. Like, I wouldn't say to my non-disabled child that they are stupid, retarded, what were the words that we found?
So retarded was a medical term that came about, I
Right.
think, in the 40s or 50s.
See,
Before that,
isn't that
it was
interesting?
yeah. Before
Okay,
that,
let me say something. Hold on to that thought. 40s and 50s, the word retarded. I want you to share
maybe the
this,
60s,
but I want to say something about this, and that I just want you to step back, like remove the emotion from the words, remove the preconceived notions that you have, and just think about this. Like step back and think about it for a hot second. That's all we're saying here. We're not saying you have to like the word. We're not saying whatever. I mean, heck, we don't even care if you agree with us or not. We're just wanting you to think about these things that you might give your power to. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, this is my point in this entire conversation is I cannot control the behavior of other people. This is what I want everyone to realize. Bottom line here. We all know through all this political hot mess we've all gone through that no matter what you put on social media, you're not going to change the opponent's opinion, political opinion, right?
Right.
So if you're telling me, don't say that word, get educated, what's wrong with you? You know, it's not going to motivate me to not say that word.
Yeah.
And you know
in
what
fact,
I'm saying?
Probably the opposite. Like a whole lot more things in my life just became retarded.
Oh my gosh.
Just because.
We push the envelope up in her. Oh,
Yeah.
do you guys like our hexagon shelves that don't have anything on them yet? Aren't they cute?
We're gonna put knickknacks up there though.
There's gonna be some succulents. Okay, carry on. In the 40s, it was a medical term.
That was a technical medical term up until like 2000, up until the Obama administration, where they struck it from all federal.
Really?
It was a medical term.
Really?
Yeah, up until like 2011.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
So just as short as 9 years ago, in actual federal, classifications documentation, because people became offended by just saying, the medical phrase is mental retardation. Of course, people use it to be derogatory and just say retard. Now, prior to mental retardation and retard, that's where you had the actual medical terms were things like moron, imbecile, and idiot. Those were medical terms.
Wow.
So the meaning of words obviously changes over time.
Right.
And one of the classics in our current language, which has so many different meanings depending on the context, would be like the word fuck. Right?
We're just dropping all the potty words today. Welcome to John and Chas, where we say all the things.
Right. But
that's interesting. Like, who decided that was a bad word, an obscene word? One of the things I looked up said obscene. Who decided that?
It's basically like, I think the origins are kind of like low-class language, right?
Right.
Like
slang.
The language of the lower classes.
Right.
Like if you're a millionaire, we have sexual intercourse. If you're upper middle class, we're gonna make sweet love tonight. And if you're in the lower class, you're like, we're gonna fuck.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, it's okay.
Welcome to the racy time.
No, it's okay.
No, this was my idea.
Hey, you like it.
I love it. I just love it. No, this was my idea to talk about the words because I feel like so many people
and some
give
of you
their power to being offended by a word. Like, why, you guys?
Yeah.
Why? And when we're talking about our children, I feel like we're almost putting them at a disadvantage to say this particular word. When people use this about you, we're going to fight back and we're going to call that bad and we're going to say that that's a bad thing. I feel like it's far more empowering to a child who has, maybe mental, what would be the better word here? It's maybe mentally slower than some other people or what have you. Setbacks, if you will, to not label them in any type of way. And when people say those words, not to let those words touch you. Like, why does that have to be something that we choose to be offended by? Like, for example, with women, right? We're very self-conscious of our weight. And sometimes if a person sitting beside you and you might be saying, oh, look, move over, she's big, or, we automatically take offense to that. Like, oh, did you just say I'm fat? When they're just like, no, you're taking up a little bit of space here, or maybe you're tall, or what have you. Maybe the person didn't mean it in an offensive way, But I feel like in our society, we're so quick to be offended by whatever we want to deem offensive. And a part of that comes from what the powers that be, the people who decide these things, tell us to be upset about. Like they tell us these words have XYZ meaning. So we're like, oh, yes, I'm on that. That is a bad word. And no one will say that in my presence. That is, what have you. You know what? And we tend to judge so harshly when someone uses that word or a word that we don't like. Now, again, if you don't like a word, that's fine. That's fine. But what I'm just challenging you guys is, why give that your power? Why feel the need to tell someone how they should or shouldn't speak?
Yeah.
Why feel the need to be hurt or upset? And I get that with your children, you're protective and you don't want people to hurt them.
Yeah.
Go for it. Do that. Please do that. That is your job. But
if some other retarded kid is going to call your intellectually disabled child a retard,
feel free to
be mad.
Up on them.
Whatever. Smack them over the head with a wiffle ball bat. I don't care.
Really loud clap.
It's really loud.
Kind of wrong with you a little bit.
It's settled. Anyway.
Is that for you too?
Yeah. So,
okay. So
perceptions.
My
theory is that we need there's this weird concept that we have to exchange harsh sounding monosyllabic words for softer multisyllabic words, right? So we had moron, that's 2 syllables, but mentally retarded. Well, then people shorten that to retard in derogatory ways, admittedly, and then you get to the acceptable term is intellectually disabled. We add more words, more syllables to make it harder for somebody to come up with a derogatory term. It's my theory anyway.
Which I get that. That makes sense. We don't want people using words to demean others. And that's not.
The reaction is, let's add more words and more syllables.
Yes.
So you can't shorten it to 1 syllable word that in an insulting way.
Let's minimize the insult impact. Which I get that. That makes sense. But the overall challenge is really step back and look at who's telling you what you need to believe. And along those lines, we kind of want to cover some current topics of people telling us what we need to believe, and a lot of people taking that as the gospel truth. So just like with these words that we say are bad, or the powers that be, if you will, deciding that this needs to be wiped from the English language because it is hurtful, which that's fine. If you find it a hurtful word, that is okay. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be hurtful to you. I'm just saying, let's be aware of what we're giving our power to and what we're allowing.
If you're getting all tore up about it, when we're obviously not talking, or someone is not talking about you or your children or your loved ones.
Yes. It's like, what do you take as personal offense and what do you deem as, ooh, okay, they said a word, whatever, none of my business. So along those same lines and what they decide, we wanted to touch on Fauci's new decree that we need to wear multiple masks to be safe.
A lot of people
now it's what's 2? What is it? 2?
It's 2 masks, but
275%.
Some study shows that 3 masks are 90%
effective.
Right. So whatever, you feel what you want about the Rona, but you can go back and find clips early on in the Rona saga of Fauci saying, oh, no, everyone doesn't need to be walking around wearing a mask. That's not for everybody. And now he's like, well, just two, and recently, as we've seen in the past week, 2 masks. Well, that's common sense. And then even on TV, and, experts say that 3 experts say that 3 masks.
The all elusive they.
If you're still really hyped up and worried about it, just put a plastic bag over your head.
Oh my gosh!
Zip tie it. That's 100% effective. You will not catch the Rona. I promise.
Well, I saw a meme.
If you do that and you don't understand that that's sarcasm and a joke, I take no liability. Just saying. It's
very similar to my rash comments. Yeah. We are not. Okay, so I did see a funny meme that was like 2 masks, 75% effective, 3 masks, 90% effective, pillow, 100% effective.
I saw another one that said,
now that made me laugh, you guys.
6 masks will end systemic racism.
Oh my God.
It might. I don't know. I haven't tried wearing six masks.
Well, because then you couldn't breathe, so you die, and you wouldn't say anything racist.
Yeah.
Then would you?
You're right.
And you
It's not an
probably
issue.
wouldn't use the word retarded either.
No, you wouldn't.
Even if
so-
you're breathing, you
yeah.
are.
So yeah, our thoughts.
Oh
The
Lord.
Rona. Hey, if you take all the precautions you feel necessary to protect yourself,
Yes.
but I'm not going to go around wearing 3 masks
Or 2.
or 2.
And honestly,
Generally, not even
don't
one.
wear one.
Yeah.
But it is very interesting, and I've heard a lot of people say, so are the 3 mask people going to be shaming the 1 mask people
Ooh.
now?
That's a good one.
Because the 1 mask people have been shaming the no mask
Right.
people.
Even better.
Yeah, and so it would be interesting to see how this plays out. But the whole point of even bringing that up to you guys was that let us step back and just ask ourselves, what am I believing here? Who am I allowing to dictate what I think about and what I deem as truth, as valid, as important to me and my family, as fact, as whatever? Let's make critical thinking great again because it isn't right now, you guys.
No.
So, for instance, the immediate when I said 2 weeks ago when I did that, as soon as we finished filming, I was like, oh, I said retarded, babe. And he was like, uh-oh, like bring out the wolves, you're dead now, it's on. And it was as soon as that aired, and we didn't delete it, we left it up, and there were comments. The people
That's
just
okay.
and that's okay. You can have your opinion
you're
about
offended.
that.
I respect your right to be offended.
You do have, that's fine, and that's okay. But what I'm challenging
Respect
you
my
is,
right not to care.
right? That, and I would just challenge you to ask yourself, why does that offend me? Like, has someone said that specifically about my child? Has someone called my child that name? And if so, yeah, okay. You don't like this is it goes back to, it's kind of like the gun
Feel free
argument.
to go in their face and say "fuck you."
It's kind of like we're just not holding it.
No,
It's
go
kind of
ahead.
like the gun argument, right? The school shootings, right? We talk about these terrible school shootings, and then like the people cry for gun control. Well, the gun didn't do the thing. The person behind the gun did the thing. So the word isn't doing the damage. It's the person behind the word doing the damage. It's, are they being spiteful to you and your family and your child, or are they just like talking off the cuff about a pain in the butt rash that they have on their arm that they don't like having there? Let's think about this and really weigh these critically, like think, oh, okay, this person's not insulting me personally. It's only, there's a lot of like husband and wife lessons we could learn here, because so much of what he does, because we're 2 different animals here.
That's next. We'll talk about that
Next week.
Next episode. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that will be a good topic. We'll come back to. But
Husband and wife, perceptions and communication.
Right, but I was just real briefly, and we'll get on this more next week because we must switch gears here. But is the way that you perceive each other, the things that he might do or say or not do or say that I take personally, which really have nothing to do with me. It might have to do with the day he had at work. It might have to do what he's thinking about the next project he's got working on. It might have to do with the stock market being wackadoodle. It probably has nothing to do with me, but the way in which he responds to me, I can translate as a personal offense. And I have learned not to do that most of the time.
Yeah. So, next topic, big news in the week was the stock market.
I segued you in beautifully.
You did. Good job.
Carry on.
So, big news was like the people
Did y'all
buying
see
into.
this about the stock market?
Yeah, I think everyone probably saw something about it. GameStop, right? So the stores around the country, the chain stores that sell new and used game consoles and games. And so, word got out that I guess some major hedge funds were shorting this stock. So basically,
The big guys.
I'm sure you probably had time to look into what does that mean to short a stock. I'm not going to try to explain it, but basically, it's betting that this stock is going to go down, right? Maybe even to nothing. So, but you had the internet, Reddit. I think it started on Reddit, but you had the internet crowd out there the 20s and 30s something, have this nostalgia
Yes, the
for
little
the common people out there. GameStop, right? That's part of their growing up, part of their experience, and they're like, you know what? We're gonna send a message, and they started buying up GameStop because if you don't know, I mean, I'm not gonna try to explain it, but you can understand like the way a short works. You can, if the stock price goes up, well, you need to buy out. You need to get out of that stop position real quick. Otherwise, the amount of money you can lose is infinite almost, as long as the price keeps going up. But it's almost so. I encourage you to look up what a short means, and then you would realize that these hedge funds, they did not hedge their bets. Like, there's automatic functions you can do to kind of limit your risk. Apparently they didn't do this. Like, they didn't think this was going to be necessary. I don't know how you do this when your job is, if you know anything about the stock market. But the point being is that the internet, people collectively organized in a viral way, and basically drove a major, like a Wall Street hedge fund into the ground, like bankrupted them.
It's pretty dang cool, honestly.
It's pretty cool.
No, you're not going
to see power to the people. Now, this hedge fund, I don't know, like they probably might have been managing people's pension funds. So there's people who might have had pensions, right? Like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And now the hedge fund's like, oh, we went belly up because we poorly managed your money.
Dang.
And now you might have work. I don't know. I haven't looked into it, but you could very well have working class people. But the point being is that a lot of you are out there. You have jobs. You have 401ks. You have pensions. You trust the system that I'm just gonna like throw my money and then my company matching money, and trust in these financial nerds to make good decisions on my behalf. And here we have a great example where
they do not have your best interest in mind.
Yeah. You don't really, like, so many people don't really know what they're doing with their money. It's like, and then we get sold this line of BS, like, well, as long as I get my, my 10% per year and I work for 30 plus years, then I'll be okay someday when I retire. My advice is to get out of that. Like, if your money, like, I'm not a financial advisor, but you need to control. I do believe you should control your wealth, right? That's your life that you exert to build this store of wealth. And you're just giving it over to other people because you don't know, right? You don't know. But let me tell you, all right, there's plenty of sources out there for you to educate yourself. And I would highly recommend, you can go on, like, I don't know, there's all kinds of people that sell all kinds of digital educational programs, anywhere from $20 to $1,000 or more. But you can go on udemy.com. I think there's a lot of courses on understanding the concepts of things like technical analysis for, sometimes as low as $20, but $100 seems to be the average. It's well worth it. Like $100 of education can save you tens of thousands of dollars. And if you're someone who has money in things like a 401k or you have stocks, it's absolutely worth it. The point being is you have to exert more effort to control your destiny. Or as one of my people I like to follow says, take more initiative to control your source of your wealth. Like, that's one thing we do. I do it by stocks.
Sure
our time's almost up.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure we're over already because I started it late.
But
why can I not turn it off? Okay, there we go.
So, like, I do this. I maybe we'll talk about it later sometime. But I actively buy and sell stocks with
and we
using knowledge. Like, I had to learn more things. And in Chas, you'll know that she does network marketing as another source of income. and
growing skills too.
yeah,
to
and
do that.
growing skills.
We should talk about that
Yeah.
another time.
So
what
we're
it
gonna
takes to grow skills, and we'll circle back to this topic. We didn't really give it a lot of time, but we're gonna wrap it up for today, and we will see you guys next week with more probably controversial content. You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.